Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas. We are live. We're always live. I love going live. I really love going live, but we're coming at you from the Align Studios. I have a special guest today that I've been looking forward to having on the podcast. I was actually supposed to have him on last week. Was it last week?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I was supposed to have him on, but then he lost his voice, and now I'm going through that. Yeah, now I'm going through that situation where I'm about to lose my voice.
Yeah.
But yes, wanted to have him on 2 weeks ago just so we can have him talk and kind of introduce himself and talk about his story and who he is, what he does. But yes, my special guest today is Saulo Rodriguez.
Thank you, bro.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, he is with S180 Media. He is my producer for my podcast.
Yeah.
Like many others, such as Chris Cano, and I believe you mentioned you've done it for a political figure as well.
Several political figures and several businessmen here in San Antonio. There's some that are public podcasts, and there's some that are just private for their internal team. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. Well, thank you for being on.
No problem, sir.
With that being said, who's producing right now?
Today we got Dom, the producer.
Dom, the producer.
On the
holding
keys.
It down for
yeah,
us
amazing,
right now.
Dom. Awesome.
So yeah, no, I wanted to bring you on, man, because obviously you and I chat so much.
A lot.
We're always talking, and I'm just like, man, this would be a perfect vibe. I know Cano's had you on his podcast too several times, and I'm just like, man, this would be a perfect vibe. You bring a lot of energy, and we're just always talking shop, man. We can talk about anything.
Any topic, right?
It'll just go.
And it's funny because we talk about the podcast, and then when the podcast is done, we stop and have those conversations. Hey, bro, and like little details, right?
It reminds me of like how Bill Maher does his overtime.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, like
he still does
the
it.
Show. I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I don't know. I don't watch it as much anymore, but
wow.
But yeah, no.
What was his first program, Bill Maher?
Oh shit! Hold on. It was.
You gotta give me the name. Give me the name. I loved it. HBO. It was with the P. PI. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me.
Hold on.
Who knows? Anybody knows? If you know what Bill Maher's first program was on HBO.
I'm still waking up right now. Yeah. I know it got canceled. I know it eventually. Well, because it wasn't on HBO though.
It was.
His first one was on something else. It was PI.
Or maybe HBO got it.
And then HBO picked it up. He got canceled because of the way he was carrying himself on the show, and it was too much.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Politically incorrect.
Politically incorrect. There you go. Yes, there you go.
Hey, Clarissa's live. Well, not live, Clarissa? Connected. Clarissa, good morning, Clarissa.
Yes.
And Ana Banda. Hi, good morning, Ana.
Good morning, Ana. Yes. So guys, just so y'all know, too, I'm really bad about acknowledging the people that are tuning in and watching that comment. And Saulo is always in the back, and he's just yelling like, hey, so-and-so asked a question. So-and-so asked a question. And I'm just like, okay. Yeah, pay attention.
Do you have the same problem? Like some friends out there that if they look at one thing, they can't pay attention to other things? Or can you multitask?
No, dude.
No, not at all?
My ADD, so it's so funny. My ADD is out the roof. I'm sure many of the viewers have noticed that over the past several segments. My ADD is just bad, dude. Yeah. And I pretend that I'm a multitasker, but I'm not, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the worst. Like,
I don't know why, bro. I'm a good multitasker. My wife gets mad at me because sometimes I'm editing something, I'm looking at a screen, I'm watching a podcast, and I'm listening to everything at the same time.
Yeah.
And I irritate myself sometimes. But
so,
anyway, yeah.
It's funny because I was in the office yesterday, first day back after my trip, and, I was talking to all the agents, and I was just, it was a Monday for me yesterday, like it was a typical Monday for me because I was just, I showed up to the office thinking like, I'm locked in, I'm ready to go, I'm pumped, I'm fired up. And then everything just kind of collapsed for me, like specifically where it's like I was just all over the place, right? Like I wasn't focused, I wasn't dialed in. I spilled my drink like twice on me, on my beard, and like everyone was laughing. I almost dropped my drink. Like everyone's just like, dude, what's up with you this morning? I was just like, I don't know. But I started telling everyone, I was like, so just so y'all know, I got Adderall. Like I got me some Adderall in Mexico, and I wanted to try that to help me with my focus, like to see if it'll help me with my focus. Because dude, my attention span, my focus is just all over the place, and so I'm hoping. I've never taken that stuff.
Never,
before.
really.
Never taken.
I was going to ask you that because I was having a conversation with some friends 2 days ago about Adderall. Never taken any type of substance, medicated or unmedicated or whatever. Never. So this is your first time taking Adderall.
I haven't taken it yet. I was going to take it this morning.
Oh, you haven't taken it?
No, I haven't taken it yet.
So this is normal.
Take it this morning.
So this is normal.
This is normal. I was going to take it this morning, but I was scared. Like, dude, what if it kicks in? I don't know what it's going to do to me. What if I have a negative side effect from it on the podcast? So I was like, no. So
you know what I want to do? I'm very curious about doing a podcast with several friends, and they are 10 drinks in.
Oh, shit.
They're 10 drinks in, and then you just drop a topic. Hey, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this because
a lot of dope.
And it's
people let loose.
It would be more interesting today. You know why? Because now that everybody's so cautious on what they can talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
And you need to something that lets them go and just have an honest conversation. Say, hey, like they say, kids and people that are drunk say what's in their heart. That'd be so awesome,
dude. I agree. You know what that reminds me of though? I don't know if you've ever watched Mike Tyson's podcast, Hotboxing. Yeah,
Bro,
this dude will take shrooms on his podcast.
Yeah,
like he will literally, and his guests will trip out.
Totally,
literally trip out on how much he's taking. He'll take like a big old handful and just stuff it in his mouth, and they're like, "Did you just really take that many grams?" And
well, he did it with Logan Paul. He had a bag
right.
and just put him in his mouth, and then he was talking about a bird.
Yeah,
the bird. He just can't like
he's a trip, dude. And you can't make fun of him.
Not at all.
I would not want to be on his podcast.
Can you imagine the guys are like,
"What the fuck are you talking about?
Do what you need to do, Mike. You're okay. You're okay. You're good."
Like, dude. But
let me ask you this: would you be up for it if I did that type of podcast?
I would, but and you know, some of my friends are gonna laugh at me that might be watching right now. I'm really bad with like, it depends on what it is, because I'm really bad with tequila. Like, I'm one of those that makes that cringy face when I take a shot.
Like you're mad?
Almost like it's disgusting type of face.
Yeah.
And it can be the smoothest, like, you know, for our grand opening, we had some bottles gifted to us from a couple different lenders and business partners, where they gifted us a 1942, another one was a Johnny Walker, Blue Label, and like some really expensive bottles that like some of my agents were really excited about to try out. Yeah. So I poured some shots for everybody, and I still made that ugly face, and they're like, "Dude, you're being disrespectful. Like, these are smooth drinks. Like, this is what people pay a lot of money for." And I'm like, fuck that.
Like
tequila to me.
You were like putting ketchup on a steak.
Yeah, tequila for me is tequila. Yeah. Like, it tastes like shit. I don't enjoy taking tequila shots. Like, it's just, anyway, so it depends on what it is. I would be down for that.
AJ drunk gets higher, crazier, or lower, slower?
I get higher, crazier, for sure. Yeah.
Who else would you put in a group? Say, okay, we're going to do the podcast. Brittany La Bruta.
Yeah.
How does she get? Does she get crazier?
Oh, she gets even louder.
Wow, that's interesting.
She gets even louder.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, Brittany.
Anyway, who will be up for it? I want to ask people, if you're logged on right now, and we did a midnight podcast and 10 drinks in, and then we start the podcast and we just drop a topic. So, and look, this girl.
I love that.
Anna Banda said politically incorrect, and Stephanie says, was he wearing a bikini on his show? Is that why he got canceled?
Oh, wow. Was he? I don't know.
Oh, my goodness.
What type
of podcast?
So my understanding, I think he got canceled, though, because it was on a public channel. I can't remember what channel had it. And then they dropped him, and that's when HBO picked him up.
Man.
But yeah, man. I like Bill Maher. I just don't watch him as much anymore, because I think he's gone a little too far.
Yeah. So you would do it if I did that program, that podcast?
Oh, yeah.
You would?
Yeah. I'd be down. I'd be down.
You signed...
I like making conversations interesting.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyways, man, we're going to be all over the place today.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Are there topics that you wouldn't talk on this podcast about?
Whew.
Like you say,
I'm always down to talk politics.
Let's say I was going to interview you, and I'm like, hey, Jay, we're going to have a podcast. What can I not talk about? What would you say?
Okay, so I would say this. I would rather not talk about my religious views.
Oh, wow.
Cool. When it pertains to political points, right? To when they're tied into political points, because I think it's a thin line that you walk when you start doing that, because now I'm talking on my views and what I believe in and how I live by, and I never want to portray that on other people. And immediately, because if I identify that I'm a Christian, or if I identify I'm a conservative, or if I'm a liberal, you automatically get thrown into one category, right? Yeah. And that's the part that's unfortunate. I've talked about it in the past on the podcast, where it's unfortunate that we can't have, it's not as common these days to have an open dialogue. Yeah. It's more of a, once I identify what side you're on, now I know how to treat you. Yeah. And now I know whether I'm just going to disregard everything that you say.
I box you in that,
versus let me listen to what you have to say and actually take that point of view into consideration. Yeah. Because honestly, that's where I've gained a lot of my knowledge on politics, is by having debates with people where initially I didn't agree with them.
That's so true.
And then I've been educated and informed, so I'm like, that actually makes sense. Yeah. Or sometimes I don't agree with you, but it does make sense. You know, so yeah, I would say that.
I think I'm more afraid of the tone of the conversation than the topic, because I think we can talk about anything, but the problem is sometimes you say something and the tone can be misinterpreted, or the person has their own tone, and they hear what you say with a different type of tone.
True.
Because politically incorrect, bro, back in the day was a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
If you go back,
it
was more intense. Nowadays, you hear what's this Real Time with Bill Maher.
Real Time, yeah.
If you watch it, everybody's just waiting.
Yeah.
They're like, can I talk about this or not?
Yeah.
So
I always get, so I love freedom of speech, but at the same time, I get nervous when I have watched Bill Maher and I see him degrading a woman sometimes, and I'm just like,
oh wow,
bro, like I can't. I mean, there's been times where I'm like, sorry, bro, I don't agree with you on that.
What is a woman? I'm joking.
Oh, that's true. No, but even that's been
yeah.
a topic on his show on many occasions. And so I totally would be down though.
I tell people all the time, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I'd rather lose an argument than lose a friend.
Yeah.
And sometimes, not all the time, sometimes you got to have some convictions and you got to say, this is what I believe and that's it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, we're arguing about a certain topic. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I'd rather say that than lose a friend, because some people are so tied to their opinion is crazy.
That's true.
But anyway.
I'll say this, like most of my political views are not shared with some of my closest friends. Like we don't have the same, how should I say, like we don't share the same views
it's crazy,
with some of my closest friends. And that's okay. But they're also, I guess what I'm trying to point out is that a lot of my closest friends and I don't share the same views. You know where I had to put myself, AJ? I had to put myself, because I tell people all the time, sometimes a very strong opinion, you think it's gospel, right? Yeah.
But it's just a very strong opinion. So I had to put myself where I enjoy people not thinking like me.
Yeah.
Before I get mad at people not thinking like me, because sometimes people argue from there. No, it's because you're wrong. And now I hear people, I'm like, oh wow, you think like that? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had to push myself to say, that is awesome that you think different.
Yeah, I do find it intriguing when I learn how the different ways that people think. You're right. Like I agree with you on that. Like it is intriguing because it's like
it's fun.
And like to understand how their thought process is, or their their mindset, or even just their beliefs. Like to hear their perspective.
Totally.
So long as it's a logical perspective, not an emotional perspective, right? Because a lot of people come from emotion with their political views versus logic. And so whenever I have gotten into debates, I always start off with saying, look, let's keep it logical, right?
Yeah.
I'm down to hear what you have to say, but don't feed off of emotion, feed off of logic.
And that's what I do when I'm talking to somebody and I can tell their emotions a little bit edgy.
Yeah.
I just step back. I'm like, I'm okay with, because a lot of people want to push in,
Yeah.
Some people are listening to talk.
Yeah.
They're not listening to listen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So anyway, let me ask you a question. If you're watching right now, let me ask you a question. What topic is off the table if you were going to be having a live conversation? So look, Ana Varela says, it's a great idea to do that podcast, but I just want to watch. That's good.
She's gonna get popcorn ready.
Maria under here, good. Or she has to have like a card, like I can't talk about this, or just step out. You know what I tell people all the time? This is one of my spills, but I hope this doesn't get misinterpreted. I tell people all the time, I don't believe in equality.
Okay.
I don't believe in equality. It doesn't exist. It's an idea that sounds so beautiful, but because it doesn't exist, we're trying to get to a place that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
For example, there's nobody that's equal. Are you and me equal?
No,
we're not.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Not even me and my wife, or me and my father-in-law, or my mom and my sister, whoever. We're not equal.
Yeah.
But there's this idea that we gotta get to this place that we all think the same, we're worth the same. No, that we're not equal anywhere. I'd rather say, why don't we just enjoy that we're so different?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I was gonna say it's a beautiful thing to identify how different everybody is.
Yeah.
Right. Like and just like what I just said, enjoying understanding or learning about someone's mindset, even if you don't agree with it or fall in line with it, just like identifying how they think is really interesting, because it gives you, sometimes it can give you a different perspective.
Totally, completely.
But at the same time, it's just like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, in most cases, it's based off of emotion. Right?
I had an old boss. He was German, right? He was very aggressive the way he spoke. But he said when his mind changed, he said he would go into any conversation. Doesn't matter if he was talking to a janitor or an executive. He would go into any conversation with this mentality. What can I learn from this person today? All the time. He says, because I don't know if it was his culture or the way he was brought up, but he had this attitude that he was the smartest in the room. He was the most educated. He had a lot of very successful person. And he would go into every room saying, I'm it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the caca, right? Whatever. But he says he got into a lot of problems. So he says, so I had to put frame my thinking. What can I learn from this person? I'm talking to the janitor today. What can I learn from this person? What can I learn from this executive? And that he says it changes mindset, and it's true because.
So that makes me think of Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Man, I like that guy.
He's
I respect
dangerous.
him. He's very dangerous. I'll say this.
In a good way. In a good way.
Yeah. I love that everything he says is based off of logic.
Yeah.
It's not emotionally fed.
Yeah.
And so, all these reels and videos on YouTube that you've seen of him getting into debates and arguments with extreme leftists.
Yeah.
If you notice something, and again, if you're a leftist and you don't like Ben Shapiro and you think, the nastiest things of him, that's fine. That's on you. But when you see those video, what do they call them?
Clips or micro contents. Yeah.
There you go. So when you see those videos, you always notice that he is leading off of logic.
Yeah.
And the response to him from someone on the left is very emotionally upset, triggered, mad. And it's just like, I would love to see someone with a big name like him on the left go into a debate with him. Just logical.
Yeah.
Right. Just logic debate. Yeah. That would be very interesting. Yeah. I would pay to watch that on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Because not saying that they would lose or anyone would win.
That's an idea.
But
like a UFC of the brain.
Yeah, man. Because I think that's what our country needs right now is more logic-fed type of clips and videos and things like that can go viral because we are fed off of emotional things, right? Emotional news, emotional content where it's meant to upset you, trigger you, piss you off, make you feel some type of way. Bro, so I'll say this, a lot of people don't know this, but I used to be that way. Before I got into real estate 12 years ago, the job that I had, it was a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Well, it is now like that too.
Now it's 10 to 10, but continue.
but I would look forward to getting out of work so I can go home, throw on the news and just be mad. I just wanted to be mad, right? Bro. Like, fuck that, and you, and I agree, and I don't agree with this. And, and then I would jump on social media and start arguing with people. I looked forward to being mad, and that's just like a crazy way to go about that.
I will tell you this. I think a big percentage of people are there.
Yeah.
How do you step out from that mentality? Because I'll tell you this, I always tell people in regards to relationships or moments, if you can bypass the initial moment of the sting of an argument, of what you read, or if you and me fight or whatever, if you can bypass that moment, I'm like, this is the beginning, it stung, let me wait. Let it go through my system pass, and then react. People can't do that. What made you say, you know what, I just want to be pissed? And when you have that filter on, that's how you see everything. That's the filter. Everything goes through that filter of being pissed. It doesn't matter if an angel came out in your house, you're like, why did the wings put too much air? Because you just want to be negative. You see everything in negative. What made you say, you know what, man, I'm just being pissy?
So I don't remember what actually got me to that level, other than maybe what I can think of as maybe the friends that I surrounded myself at the time and the relationship I was in. Kind of, we all shared that same mentality. What got me to realize I was being that way, I can't even remember that either.
Wow,
because I did, bro, like, I don't watch the news. Like, I really don't. And I remember thinking, so this was when I got into real estate, Obama was president, and I want to say,
man, that piece of
I don't remember if it was his first or second term, but in 2010, my political knowledge is bad when it comes to things like that. But so when I got in 2010, I think I started identifying, I got to be careful on what I say on social media, right? And I would get into arguments with even potential clients, right? And one thing that I said that I still believe in till this day, I had this one, he ended up being a client, right? But I remember I was sharing my political point on my social media, and he had commented and said, AJ, you should be careful on what you post when it comes to politics, because you may convince someone to not choose to work with you. And I remember my response, which I still believe in till this day, is if someone chooses to not work with me because of my political views, instead of, and let that overshadow what I'm actually good at, which is selling real estate, then I don't want to work with them anyway. Right? Because when I go to Chick-fil-A, I'm going because I like the food, not because of their political view.
Gotcha.
Whether I share the same view or not.
Totally.
Right?
That's a healthy mindset. Most of us are not there.
Well, and
it's hard. It's hard.
It's true. It is hard because it's like I'm paying for a product, not for a political view. Right? When I'm showing up somewhere and I hear that this place donated to some place that I disagree with, like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm buying the food because I like that food,
Yeah, totally.
you know, like, or I'm buying that product because I like that product.
It's like the guy that's doing your lawn care, right? Or the guy that's cutting your weeds or whatever. You're like, okay, who did you vote for? If not, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was saying this the other day. A good thing to an extreme, some good things to an extreme become bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't notice it, that you have a good thought, but to an extreme, it already became bad. For example, that sometimes I get like, well, if you don't believe how I believe, screw you.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we either we become the ones that are judging them, or we become the ones that need to be judged, because like we get to that point where we've gone to an extreme.
Yeah.
Like the other day, you had the what's it called? The LGBT segment.
Oh, yeah.
I love that segment because I was telling one of your guests that I've always wanted to do a podcast, The Ignorant Interviewer. The Ignorant Interviewer. Let me come in ignorant to a topic, because that topic, there's a lot of questions that I have about that topic. I want to sit down with somebody and say, let me come in ignorant, and you know I'm ignorant to your world.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like real estate. I don't know. I do videos. I do design. I do all. So when people start talking to me in the beginning, like a real estate, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know your terms. I don't know the words you use. I don't know what they mean or what. You know what I mean? I'm ignorant.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm ignorant. So I want to have a segment where I'm like, I'm ignorant to your world. Let me just ask educated and even stupid questions, because I want to learn.
See, and that, you know, I'm glad you're saying that word specifically, ignorant, right? Ignorance.
Lack of information.
People use that word for the wrong term in most cases.
Yeah.
When you think now, because of society, because of what's going on in our country right now, a lot of people will use the word ignorance as a jab. Like, oh, you're so ignorant.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And ignorance isn't always a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Ignorance just means, I mean, look, Google the definition of ignorance.
Yeah.
All it means is like, I am ignorant to the topic. I am
Lack
not familiar.
information of,
it's a lack of information to the specific topic that I don't know enough about, you know? And so ignorance isn't always a bad thing. Yeah. You know?
Because I go to church and stuff like that. And 2016, I started working with this political campaign, and we traveled all over the United States. Bro, I sat in tables where they were talking about politics at a level that I just felt stupid. I'm like, man, these guys they know their stuff and I don't. So I would go to the hotel and like, I got to read up on this, and this guy said this word and this, stuff like that. But there's one day we sat at this place as a Christian that loves life. I'm pro-life from birth to death, right? From birth to tomb or whatever. And I kept saying that. And then one pastor guy sat down in front of me, and we talked about the death penalty. And I'm going to say pros, cons. I'm not going to say anything because that's not the podcast. Bro, he schooled me.
Really?
And he asked me some questions, and I couldn't answer. And I felt stumped. The problem is when you feel stumped, you react emotionally, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we're all like that.
So you're like, oh, shit, I need to get out of this hole. Yeah, your mom goes to college.
Exactly, right? He was asking me some questions, honestly, not being mean. So what about this, Saulo? So what about this? And I'm like, and I could tell, beautiful man, I still remember his face. He saw that he stopped me in a way that I had no answers. Yeah. And he said, hey, bro, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Instead of having that feeling, man, I beat him with my ideas. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I had to revisit.
I look forward to those moments now, man. Like when I get stumped or when I actually quiet up because this person is throwing a full length of education on me that I that I was ignorant to. Yeah. I look forward to that because now it turns into, ooh, I'm learning right now. I'm learning right now.
I love that day when I was talking to Ruben, when you had him here, and he said, bro, let's talk. And
I love Ruben.
Bro, we talked right after the podcast ended. Yeah. And I'm, in those moments where people let you ask questions, like I told you, I used to have a routine back in the day that I would make. I'm going to say this real carefully. Yeah. I want to get back to where we were comfortable with saying racist sounding jokes, not because we're racist, but because they were funny. Yeah. You know what I mean? But nowadays it's hard. You know what I mean? You have to. And I'll start with this because I won't talk about it. But Latinos, bro, there's some Latinos that you're like, no, that's my peoples, right? Yeah. But there's some Latinos you're like, nope.
No, I mean, bro, I crack some of the most jokes on my own.
Give me one. Give me a racist joke. No, I'm joking.
Dude, I'll
I'll put you on the spot.
People,
tell me a Mexican joke. A Mexican racist joke.
Oh, man.
Because we're Mexican. I think we have permission.
My mom will kick my ass right now if I do that because she takes offense to it whenever I joke about our culture.
When we were in 2016, I would say I would still had that ability. Maybe I'm a coward now, to say those type of jokes. And I said, a Mexican racist joke on a podcast that somebody invited. Oh man, some friends of mine, like, really, Saulo? You're representing La Raza like that? Like that? And I'm like, okay, I got it. But anyway, but it's funny.
No,
so Bradley Labruda is logged on.
Yeah.
And, he says, yo, Mari Ramirez, that's a good perspective. What can I learn? Thank you, Mari. Lupe Moreno, UFC of the Brain. Lupe, thank you. Thank you for logging on. Mari Underhill, thank you for logging on. Hey, tomorrow there's going to be a podcast with Chris. Hey, number 3, Dom, look at this. Let's just show it. You know this guy? Ricky Caruth?
Yeah.
Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I have.
Amazing real estate. Bro, Chris had Marty the other day, and you had oh my goodness.
Robert Elder.
Yeah. Bro, I'm not in this industry, but just listening to Marty and Robert and now this guy, it's just like amazing when you eat with your brain, you know? Somebody's talking and you're just chewing. I'm like, hey, that was good.
You know what? Because I know I got a lot of my real estate friends watching right now. If someone can tag Marty. Gosh darn it, what's his last name?
Chris Marty?
Chris Marty, there you go. That is his last name.
Yeah.
Chris Marty, you know, Kano and I have talked about him before, and I've never had the privilege of actually meeting Chris Marty myself.
No.
We've said hi a couple times, and I know about him. You know, I know about his product and his brokerage and everything, and you know, I was telling Kano, I was like, man, I actually feel bad for the guy because he takes a lot of heat from other real estate agents.
Because he's doing a good thing. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because he's doing a good thing.
Yeah. And he takes a lot of heat from other real estate agents or just other realtors or brokerages in the industry because of what his niche is, his brokerage is about. And in my opinion, I've never talked crap about people like him because it's just like, that's his niche. Who am I to bash him for what he does and the way he goes about his business? Like, there's enough business for everybody. Like, I don't need to go bashing someone else just because I don't believe in what they're doing. You know, and so I think he's from everyone that knows him that I've talked to about him, he's a sweet guy.
Bro,
he's a very nice guy. You know,
he's one of those guys that talk about it. He talks about his industry. Take notes, because that guy likes to read. You know, he's one of those guys that you and me could be reading the same thing, and Marty's reading the same thing, but Marty's analytical mind takes some stuff that you and me maybe are not at that level to understand.
For sure. I believe
he's one of those guys. So
he's
amazing.
Very smart person. I can tell just hearing him and watching him on the podcast. I'm like, this dude is a brilliant guy.
And when somebody talks like so sure of what they've read, and you're like, dang.
And he does really good with Kano on the podcast.
Very good. Because Kano's energy. Kano's energy and. I was gonna say that Marty's brains, but Kano's brains too. But anyway, that would have sounded bad. But
So,
amazing.
No, you know, I think that's one thing that we got to get back to too, and I think that we're starting.
Look at what Chris Kano says. Lots of people talk about Marty. Marty sells more real estate.
That's very true.
Marty talks to
I see that dude's billboards everywhere, all around the city, man, and I'm just like, damn, this dude is everywhere.
Bro, did you ever see those? Did you ever see those billboards about his suit?
I did.
I had never met him. I would see those billboards, and then one day when I started working with Kano, we were in the lobby, and Chris Marty walks in, and you're in your mind like, hey, isn't that the guy? Anyway, but that was like that.
So just so you know, to fill y'all in, if y'all don't know what we're talking about, I believe that's what started his billboard marketing. But he had paid for a billboard off of I-35 one time. So, you know, biggest highway in the state, I believe. He put a billboard of him in a suit. And he said, I bought this.
No, my wife doesn't like this suit.
My wife doesn't like this suit, so I bought a billboard. And it's he's pretty much like posing in his suit. And I thought it was the most hilarious thing. It had nothing to do about him talking about real estate. You know, he wasn't promoting his brokerage or anything. It was a funny jab, but also like it was. I don't know. I love it.
You know what's interesting? I hate talking about haters because you become a hater when you talk about a hater. It's weird, right? Like,
that's true.
To all my haters, once you do that, you become a hater yourself. But a lot of haters, not all of them, but a lot of them are because they're not doing what that person is doing. So when you see somebody like Marty's billboard or something else, you're like, that's just stupid. Why? Because you didn't do it. Or
I'll tell you this.
You didn't think of it.
Every week I hear about people talking shit about me in the industry. And a lot of them, there might be some of them watching right now. A lot of them are on my social media.
Thank you.
And either I hear they're talking shit about me or they jump in my DMs and try to be my friend, but then I find out they're also trying to recruit my agents. And so I think it's hilarious at the same time. But I don't let it faze me. I did used to let it faze me back in the day.
My strategy is my grandma's strategy. My grandma would always say, kill them with love.
Yeah,
It's very hard. It's a level of operating in life that is very difficult, but Christ-like that. Just kill them with love. You know what I mean? So the day that there's no more industry and no more clients, I'd say, okay, fight if you want to.
Fight if you want to.
You know what I mean? Kill somebody. I don't know. No, I'm joking. But I think there's too much industry business clients out there. Why would people fight? It's weird. But anyway,
I agree. I don't know. I think that, we've been talking about it over the past few podcasts too, or episode segments, I should say. And I think the next few months are going to be very interesting for the industry, man.
Yeah.
I think that I can foresee a lot of the industry people, the community coming together.
Gotcha.
Because now
collaboration.
Everyone's feeling this tightness right now. I'm chatting with other brokers like today at 10 a.m. Like I'll even share with y'all some of the things that I do, guys. So me and this other broker have collaborated where they specialize in apartment locating. That's like their niche. Their agents are crushing it. Just so y'all know, real estate agents, if you aren't doing apartment locating, there's a shitload of money to make in apartment locating. Like I know some young 21-year-old agents that are making $200,000-300,000 a year in apartment locating. And the reason why you don't know about it is because they're purposely not telling you that it's a lucrative business. But anyway, so there's this broker that I'm friends with that he's like, hey man, I want to get my agents into doing, sales, residential sales. And I don't know how to educate them or train them or teach them. How about you come to my brokerage once a month and you train them on how to do residential sales? I'll go to your brokerage and train your agents on how to do apartment locating.
Wow.
And I'm like, bro, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, totally.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I go, like today at 10 a.m., I'm going for an hour to go and train his agents, and he's coming to my brokerage. I don't know if it's this week or next week, but we've already been doing this for the past 2 months, and I love it. My agents love it. It's another way of me adding value to my agents and not limiting my agents. Because I'll be honest, man, I don't know shit about apartment locating, and so I'm learning as well.
Man, the art of collaboration, man. I hate using this example, but in the United States, when the United States went through tragedy, the most beautiful moments was when people started coming together and doing something together, regardless of the differences. You know what I mean? Cody posted something yesterday because, again, we're into this real estate world. Cody said that the rates are going down or something like that, or they're leveling out or something.
I hope.
I hope so. I don't know.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
Hey, look at what Nakano says. The best way to figure out who's talking caca about you is who's talking caca about other people to you.
That's very true.
Dang.
I agree 100% about that, because I've had in many instances where someone has came to me saying something about someone,
and you're like, that's their style.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I gotta be careful not to get into this conversation.
What's that meme that says, why does he have the easiness to tell it to you?
Yeah,
why?
man.
Yeah, anyway,
it's true.
Cool.
It's true.
Que loco.
So yeah, you got to be careful in this industry. That's for sure. You got to be careful,
man. So one of these days, we're gonna get all those people, get them 10 drinks in, and have a conversation.
That would be cool.
Man, that'd be amazing. Now, who would you have on the table?
So what's funny? I thought about it right now because it came up on my memory yesterday. Back in 2019, I did a panel discussion with, and I'm not calling them out by any means. It was more of a funny moment, but I had, not me, I was on this panel discussion for NAREP. They were having a mastermind panel discussion, and excuse me, it was me, Ana Sanchez, Johnny Leja, Martin Tirado, I'm trying to remember who else, Lisa Sin, some very big heavy hitters, right? And I can't remember which one of them it was, but we were all getting ready, getting amped up before it started, because it was a full room at the Gasaba building, which, by the way, I got an event at the Gasaba building next Wednesday. I'm gonna plug it in and give y'all more details later. But we're getting ready, and it's like 100 to 200 people in this room, right? Ready to hear what we have to say. And they were nervous. And that was something that I learned. I was like, man, even some of the biggest agents are either introvert or they just get nervous about speaking in front of people. Yeah. And I remember one of them, I can't remember who it was, but they're like, man, you look forward to this shit. I was excited. I was like, hell yeah, like I'm ready, let's go. And they're just like, you look forward to this stuff. Like, I don't like this stuff, And I do, man. I love speaking in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You don't get nervous?
Nah. Dang. That's why I like to go live, man.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because I'll tell you right now, and there's been times where I'm shooting promo videos for a class coming up. If it's pre-recorded and you give me a script, I will jack it up and do like 20 takes, man.
Yeah, I've been there.
But when we go live, I rarely mess up. I'm not saying I'm perfect.
Yeah.
I rarely mess up.
You're more relaxed.
I'm more relaxed,
yeah.
and I'm just ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to go, and I kind of freestyle. I'm like, let me just say what I want to say, you know? And
Bro,
I
years ago, I used to work in the Spanish radio network, whatever. They sent me to Chicago to go work with this guy from Spain. It was Spanish radio, of course.
Yeah.
But this guy, Andres, bro, I would see him in radio since I was a kid. Amazing guy from Spain. Spain people are very heady, very smart guy. Bro, and they put me on segments of 2 hours live with him. 2 hours, only one song per hour. Wow. So you have to be talking for two hours. And I was so intimidated. So they put me with him for 3 days, nonstop, just going. And I would call back to mom. That was years ago. I would tell my mom, I'm with Andres tomorrow, and that she would pray for me. And I was all intimidated, bro. Because like, what am I going to say this? I would only say, it's 2:00 and you're hearing this, right? Because the guy was so smart. The next day in the morning, I'm going to go live again, and I'm all tense. My back was hurting because I was so tense. I was so nervous. So I get in the studio, and the guy, Andres, is sitting like this. And he goes, man, I don't know how you do it. And I'm telling him, why? I don't know what to say, man. I'm stuck. This is intimidating doing this for long. Like he showed me his cards of weakness. Bro, and that gave me like, let's do this. I got all excited because I saw somebody like that telling me that he was nervous and he was having a hard time. I'm over here thinking like, man, I'm a loser. So people like that also have those moments of like, I'm struggling.
Like I'll share with you my weakness, man, is if like my coach asked me like, hey, I need you to go to this networking event and go introduce yourself to 10 strangers. Bro, really? I get anxiety like crazy.
Why? What goes through your mind?
I don't know. I freak the hell out. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to networking, like a non-real estate. When it's real estate, I'm good because I'm going to know a lot of people there. I know the
topic,
Yeah, but when I go to a networking event that's non-real estate, I will go in, meet 2-3 people, and dip out probably within 20 minutes. Like, I do not feel comfortable being in that setting and introducing myself and pitching myself and saying what I do for a living. And I just don't enjoy it, man. That's not me. That's not who I am. But then when you have me doing these classes in front of, 60, 80, 100 agents, I'm good. Like, I'm ready to go. I love it. I get excited. I get passionate. But it's because I'm in control of the setting.
True.
So that's what I've noticed. When I'm in control of the setting, I do good. When I'm not in control of the setting, I don't do good.
So Dominate Your Neighborhood, those classes that you give, it's about people going and doing what you don't want people to tell you to do. Kinda, in a way.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been doing Dominate Your Neighborhood for a little over 4 years now for agents. And so the whole story behind it is, I just recently closed last week on the 70th transaction out of my neighborhood. And so about, like I said, a little over 4 years ago, I think somewhere I was around 40 or 50 homes that I've sold. And I remember thinking to myself, and this is once I found my faith and my whole views, everything just started transforming in me, and I wanted to give back, right? Without having any intentions of getting anything in return, just feeling good. Like I've identified that this is another way that I find value in myself by giving back to others in any way I can. If I feel like I've given someone some valuable information or whatever it may be, then that's how I identify my value, right? And some people can say right or wrong if that's the right mindset or not, but that's the truth. And so I wrote out this class, and I'm just like, I'm gonna share with everybody. And it's so funny because the agents to this day will still ask me like, why the hell are you sharing with me all your secrets of what works for you in your neighborhood, not knowing that I'm gonna go and implement all of them in your neighborhood? And I tell agents all the time, go for it. Like, good, not saying that, I'm not doubting them and not saying they can't. I just say, good luck, go for it. There's that I know of, there's 6 other agents that live in my neighborhood, and I've invited them to come to this class, to tell them, hey, come to my class and let me share with you what's worked for me in our neighborhood that we both live in, you know?
Let me ask you a question. You've said in several programs, and you said it today, when you came to your faith, you think you coming to your faith, to God, or spiritual awakening has shaped the way you address business nowadays?
Yes.
Like your ability to share.
Not just business.
Secrets. You know what I mean?
Not just business, but in life in general, man. I come from a bad place, man. I used to be a bad kid when I was younger. I made a lot of bad choices when I was, I would say my rough years were between 16 to 21. And during the time frame, I've talked about it openly. I posted my testimonial several years ago where I talked about I was addicted to drugs. I was selling drugs. I was breaking into cars. I was breaking into auto shops. Like, I had been shot at multiple times.
Bro.
Like, yeah, I was just going down this.
This was 3 weeks ago.
This is this past weekend. But yeah, and I was going through this bad time in my life, and there was many things that contributed to it that I don't want to say and make excuses, but you know, it was my dad passing away, my stepdad passing away, where I had a lot of guilt inside, and so I started rebelling and trying to find ways to cope and to numb everything, my feelings. And so I just went down this wrong path, man. I was always getting into bar fights. I mean, I was totally different than who I am today. And what actually changed me was two things: meeting my now daughter's mom, right, at that time, and then also having my ex giving birth to my son. And my son was born when I was 21, and I always talk about, like, he saved my life. He saved my life because when he was born, you know, my stepdad passed away when I was 18. My real dad, he's always been a deadbeat, and I hate to just throw him out there. Gotcha. But he's always been a deadbeat. He still is to this day. You know, I can name other things about what he does that I just don't agree with.
Gotcha.
And so I choose to just keep him out of my life, or keep him from a distance, right? But when my son was born, I had an awakening where it was just like, man, like, I need to step up. Like, this is my child, and I don't want to be anything like my real dad. You know, and so that was my motivation. So my mom's a great mom, right? She's taught me a lot of values, but the one thing that I didn't always like is that my mom growing up would always be like, you're gonna be just like your dad, you're gonna be just like your dad. Yeah. And so so when my son was born, I was like, no, I'm not gonna be anything like my dad. And that is why I have such a close relationship to my kids. That's good. Now I have 3 kids, and just yesterday, just last night, a friend of mine was asking me, like, what are your goals in life? And I was just like, well, tell me what you mean by that, business or personal? And she's like, just in general. And I was like, honestly, I can tell you many business goals and many personal goals that I have, but ultimately I can brush them all to the side so long as I make the best memories with my kids. Like, that's all I care about now, especially right now with my daughters. My son's now 17, but when my daughters 9 and 11, I'm starting to see them transition to where they're not laughing at my jokes anymore, man, or as much. And
you're
it hurts,
feeling it,
bro. It hurts my feelings. That is the one time that I'll say that my feelings get hurt. Is when my kids, when I notice they're not laughing at my jokes anymore. Or things like I'll be like, hey, can I pick you up? You want to go to the movies? And they're like, no, thank you. And I'm just like, oh, that crushes me, man. You know, so it's things like that.
I tell people all the time, the only FOMO I have is when my wife tells me that Amado, my son, 2 years old, says something or does something and I'm not there. But it's the best thing. When I get home, he makes a party for me, right? But there's sometimes he's doing something and I get home and he just goes like this. And turns around. He doesn't acknowledge me. I'm like,
bro.
But it's the best thing.
It's crazy to think that, you know, I've had many conversations over the years with moms or friends that say, you know, I wish my kid's father had a relationship with their kids like you. And I always try to talk positive on it, right? Because I don't know them, you know, and so I'll say things like, hopefully he grows up one day, or I'm sure he'll grow up one day, you know? Oh, well, he's 42. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know. You know, but at the same time, I'm just like, look, you can always change. You just got to choose to. And I think that who you surround yourself with plays a big impact on if you will change, because I took myself out of that equation when I was 21, right? I stopped partying so much. I stopped hanging around with certain friends that I was getting in a lot of trouble with. And I changed my ways. I changed my lifestyle. And that's what took me out of that situation. And I was influenced at that time when I was with my daughter's mom. She influenced me to step away from that, right? And then also my son influenced me to step away from that. And so it's really hard for me to understand when I hear stories about guys that have signed their rights, you know, to giving up their rights to their kids. And it's just like, bro, like, I look forward to getting my kids. Make sense, right? Like, to me, I look forward to getting my kids any opportunity I can, because I get to act like a kid and I get to be a kid with them without feeling judged. Now I'm getting judged. Like, I'll make comments all the time to my kids, and my youngest, she's the quickest to pop off, and she'll just be like, Dad, that doesn't even make sense. Or she'll just tell me straight up, you know, and it hurts. I'm just like,
my nieces go, really, Tio? They were like, really, Tio? And you're like, okay, I just felt the world. So I asked you, your spirituality, has it changed your perspective on being, because, you know, when they talk about business, it's a dog eat dog world, right? And you got to scratch yourself, whatever. I don't know how to say it in English, right? But you think it has changed the way your ability to say, I'm just going to share my stuff,
Yeah.
Has it changed that?
It has, because I stopped looking at other agents as competition.
That's good.
I'll admit, I was that agent, and there's a ton of agents that I know that will never admit. Attitude? They'll never admit that, but I know.
Yeah.
And I see it on social media.
Do you try to teach your group that attitude?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And for the most part, our brokerage has that mentality, right? And there's a few agents that I have that I'm still, I like to think of like I'm coaching through life with them, not just business.
Coaching attitudes.
And a couple of weeks ago, one of my agents, I had a conversation with him, and I told him, I was like, he was just like, because I had a complaint from another agent on a transaction he was doing with them, and she was saying that, he's just very rude to work with. And I've been having multiple complaints, right? Yeah. And about his attitude. And so I'm talking to him, and he's just like, I just don't give a fuck about anybody else.
Dang.
And I'm just like, okay, but that's not who we are.
Yeah.
And that's not how we think.
Yeah.
And that's why I need you around me more in the office to feed off of my thought process. Not saying that I need you to be exactly like me.
Yeah.
I want you to be the best version of you, but at the same time, I want you to change the way you think, because if you start, if I had this attitude of I don't give a fuck about other agents on a transaction, then I wouldn't be teaching these classes. Totally. Or if I taught these classes, it would be contradicting, right? And so, am I saying that I'm an innocent, angel on every single transaction? No. I have had confrontations with agents on transactions. I usually don't initiate it, right? I start off always nice. I've helped agents before. There's been times where I've given them pointers on how they screwed up on the contract, like, hey, fix it before we execute it, because if we want, we can take advantage of you right now. But then as soon as an agent does pop off on me, that's when my attitude, I will admit, that's something I'm working on, but that is when my attitude changes.
The media world, bro, photography, because it's art, it's very tied to people's hearts. Mm-hmm. They become very competitive. It's my art, my art, right? So it's a very interesting world, right? Yeah. Don't want to talk negative about it, but when I got to San Antonio, I had a stupid 5D Mark II camera, right? And I was gonna go take pictures, and a guy that was an amazing photographer, I met him at Starbucks out of by accident, and we met and we were talking, and I saw his page. Yeah. And I'm like, this guy's a beast photographer, like high-end photographer, right? So when we were having the conversation, he says, what camera do you use? And I told him that the rinky-dinky lens that I had, it wasn't an L lens, which is a luxury lens. Oh, okay. I didn't have that money, whatever. So we exchanged numbers and whatever. So in the conversation, I told him that I was gonna do a wedding in 2 weeks or something like that. The guy found me on Facebook, and he texts me, hey, can you call me? I'm like, yeah. He says, I heard you're doing a wedding. Are you doing it with that lens? Like that. Ooh. I felt offended. I'm like, oh, this guy wants to make me feel bad, right? So he goes, are you doing it with that lens? And I'm like, and I had no answer because I didn't have any money. He goes, I told him, yeah. He says, hey, bro, I used to do Canon because it wasn't Canon. He doesn't use Canon. But I have several lenses out there. You want to come to my house whenever you want? Take the lenses you want, anything that you need.
Even those expensive ones?
Expensive ones. They're very expensive. Wow. L glass is very, very expensive.
Just give me a kind of idea.
Well, one of the lenses you're going to see there is like $3,000. Just the lens, not the camera.
Wow.
The lens. Wow. And then the guy, he says,
bro, then am I really that ugly then? Because sometimes I'm like, damn, that $3,000 lens should be making me look beautiful, bro.
You at all. So you know what the guy said? He said, hey, I got a second shooter. If you need him, on me, bro. If you need a second shooter, on me. Bro, I was like, wow, made me cry. I remember because they made me cry. I'm like, this dude doesn't know me. I just met him at Starbucks. He's offering me lenses, expensive lenses, and he's like offering me a second shooter.
The servant heart.
Thank God for a person like that. Yeah. Because now when I see somebody trying and starting, I'm like, what do you need? How can I help you get better? Yeah. Not how is this guy a threat to my business or to my entity? Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad God is changing that and you're sharing that with other people.
Bro, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I will be the last one to tell you. Yeah. I have my own struggles. I have my own battles. I slip up. Yeah, often.
Because there's moments, bro, you're like,
but I guess what I'm also better at is I acknowledge and catch it, right? I know when I identify.
When you're aware that you're doing bad, thank God for that and the Holy Spirit, right? Because when you don't feel it and you don't notice that you're an a-hole, that's even worse.
No, I agree. I'm so cautious about becoming an asshole. Yeah. And that's why I took my Sedona trip when I went hiking a couple weeks ago by myself. It was because I was coming into a place in my mind, where I was noticing I was popping off a lot more. Oh, damn. And I was just like, I need to get out of here.
Bro,
I need to get out of here.
Without going into details. Yeah. I love when people have that awareness of themselves to try to be better. And that moment, you texted me something the other day.
Yeah.
And it was like weird.
Yeah.
And I didn't respond because I didn't want to respond because I felt something there.
Yeah.
And then we talked.
I noticed that.
Right? I'm like, oh, that's hot. That's hot. And then we talked the next day about it. It just, you know what I mean? That moment you're like, let's analyze it from outside.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful, bro. I told my wife, I'm like, babe, those moments, I live for those moments.
I agree, man.
It's so beautiful when you're able to say, you know what? I don't want to be that.
It's that moment when you realize, like, I need a Snickers right now. I need a Snickers moment, man. Because it's true. And like I said, I'm human, man. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to continue to make mistakes. And not saying that it's a free pass by any means, but at least the one thing that I look forward to is that I'm aware, right? I'm aware, and I know. And when I took that Sedona trip, I was in the office, and I remember some of the agents, for the past week before I took that trip, I had people telling me in and out of the office, bro, you look tired. You look exhausted,
worst, right?
Like you look defeated. And I remember I was in the office the day before I left, and I remember saying it to two of my agents, like, man, I feel like crying right now, and I don't even know why. Like, it wasn't a financial situation either. We're not having financial problems.
People don't understand that,
it was
AJ.
just more of an overwhelming
You get physically tired, but you get emotionally tired or mentally, and people don't notice it until it's too late.
Yeah.
And I thank God, because of a friend of mine years ago taught me how to detect it before it gets out of hand. There's moments that creatively I'm done, mentally, emotionally. Now I know how to say, okay, I'm catching it before it gets worse. And because I fell into depression years ago, horrible clinical depression. I fell into an emotional depression. It was horrible. I wanted to die, honestly,
bro.
But I let myself go.
I'll tell you right now that it's so crazy we're talking about this right now, because just last night I had a therapy session, right? And I'm talking to my therapist, and we're talking about some things, a couple people, quite a few people know about just my past 2 years. Yeah, we've had a lot of success with the brokerage, but there's a lot of shit I've been through in the past 2 years. I've lost a lot of people in my life close to me in the past 2 years that she was telling me, like, you still haven't really finished mourning and like getting to peace at all that, because you've been so consumed and busy that you've just brushed everything to the side and kind of bottled it all up because you're so busy. Your mind is so consumed right now that she's like, you still need to find that peace with what you've lost in the past couple of years of those that have passed away. And she's so right. I mean, I broke down crying again last night, and it's just like, man, like, I think that we still need to push more the agenda of normalizing therapy, because I think that therapy is so healthy for people, and people can't be afraid to talk about their problems. It's when I posted my testimony, I realized that's when my big shift happened about a little over 4 years ago. I posted my testimony, man. And I was just talking about it last night to my therapist, and I told her, I go, when I posted my testimony, I had it planned for a week. Right. And Pastor Ed was who influenced me, because he had said something in a sermon, and he said, we see too much of people posting their highlights and their good moments in their life on social media. But how often do we see someone posting about their struggles and their challenges, where they can be, so someone else can relate to them? He's like, I challenge you to humble yourself through humility. And it really resonated with me, because I'm like, he's so right. I'm going to post my testimony. Right. And I posted this testimony where I talked about when I was younger and I had my drug addiction. I talked about how, I used to sell drugs. I talked about how I was always getting into fights in bars. And I talked about how just all the bad things that I've done throughout my life that I've changed. And I remember telling my sister, I was like, okay, I'm gonna post it on this day. And when I post it, I'm just gonna put my phone down for the rest of the day. I'm gonna go to the movies by myself and just clear my head. And I'm not gonna look at my phone until the next morning, because I already know I'm gonna get overwhelmed with everyone reaching out to me. And so right before I posted it, I called my mom and I started crying to my mom. I was like, I'm gonna post something that I feel like there's a lot of things you don't know about. She didn't know about a lot of stuff. Yeah, and so I was like, and my mom's very old school, dude. She's like, hey, like, it's no one's business.
Yeah, don't wash clothes in public.
And and so I was just like, no, I feel it in the heart that I need to do this, right? I need people to understand where I come from and who I am today. And so I posted it. I remember I was shaking when I posted this, because I've never opened up like this.
What was your biggest fear in posting it?
Being judged.
Gotcha.
Being judged. And then also with all the real estate people I got on my social media, worrying about, man, are they going to use this against me? Right? And with a client that we're both competing with, right? Yeah. And being interviewed for the job. So I posted my testimony, put my phone down, go to the movies, go to bed, wake up the next morning. I had over 700 likes. I had over 200 comments. I had I got flooded with DM messages of people saying, you know, oh my God, I'm going through that right now. And oh my God, I never would imagine, like, you look like you have a perfect life. And it was just like, no, I struggle just like you do, you know? Yeah. Then I had people opening up to me like that I felt like I was giving therapy sessions to. Yeah. But since then, that was my defining moment where I started living my life with not being afraid of being judged, not being afraid of like just expressing who I am. People make fun of me every day because I'm very out there, right?
The unspoken need in people's life is hope, and the idea that things can and will get better through our efforts, but it's unspoken. People don't say, I just need hope today. Nobody says it. But when somebody does that, it gives them hope. Look at what, this is an amazing, Desiree, I love that name. My therapist says being busy is my trauma response.
For sure.
Dang.
For sure. I agree with that.
Thank you, Desiree.
That's been,
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Des. That's been my problem over the past year, man, is I've been so freaking busy with the brokerage that I've had to brush my personal situations to the side, right? Yeah. Where I haven't allowed myself to heal. Dang.
And I think we do that. We do that like,
bro, we're all broken.
I'll heal myself later.
We're all broken, whether you want to admit it or not. But the sooner that you can come to truth about it and admit it, that's where you start your healing. You know,
bro, we talked for an hour.
We did already? Oh, damn.
What the heck?
We didn't even get to fully talk on everything that I wanted to talk about.
Dang. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah.
One more hour.
So, no, guys, let me share with y'all something. So, if all this stuff that y'all learned about me today, I want y'all to know that I'm really excited. Next Wednesday, all my real estate people, next Wednesday, I'm inviting lenders, anyone that's self-employed. This is meant for realtors. I'll be honest. This is meant for realtors. But I have had insurance companies. I have had any type of sales companies that have showed up to my Building Your Business Through Referrals class, where they've been blown away on like, man, this is something I can implement in my business. So next Wednesday, July 20th at the Gasaba building. It's the Greater San Antonio Builder Association building off of Paisanos Parkway. Next Wednesday, July 20th at 10:30, I'm doing 2 back-to-back classes. It's free, guys. It's free. It's in a neutral setting, right? I used to do it here at Lime Mortgage. My boy Connell would let me do it here. But dude, we got to a point where we're maxing out the room. You know, got people standing up because there was over 80 people, 80 agents here. Now this is a bigger building. It can fit up to 200 and something people.
Dang.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I can fill it up. But it's a free event. I will tell you right now, agents, if you have never been to this class, you want to be here. Put it on your calendar now.
If somebody's starting or wanting to get into real estate, will they benefit from this?
Absolutely. I'll be honest, they'll probably benefit more from the Building Your Business Through Referrals class.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because Dominate Your Neighborhood is meant more for someone that's a little established that can spend some money and implement into their business to farm a neighborhood. But yeah, so 10:30 a.m. I'm starting with Dominate Your Neighborhood. Then we're going to have a free lunch from Paisanos.
What?
Yeah, free lunch.
I'm going to be a real estate
Thanks to my sponsors. Free lunch for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And then I'm going to jump into my second class of Building Your Business Through Referrals. So it's a 3 hours total. If you can block out 3 hours, I have agents that have showed up 4 or 5 times to this class and still learn something new every single time because something different resonates every time. I love these classes, but yeah, I'll tell you right now, if you're a real estate agent, definitely you want to be there, and it's free, guys.
Cool.
People have asked me to make it a CE class. I'm not going to make it a CE class because my interpretation of CE is I have to pay to get my CE credits because I need credits to renew my license.
It's more about the credits.
I want people to want to show up to my class because they want to learn, not because they have to get some CE credits.
Gotcha.
And that's why I make my shit free.
That's awesome.
So next Wednesday at the Gasaba building, 10:30 a.m. Is Dominate Your Neighborhood. Then we have an hour free lunch from Paisanos, and then starting my Building Your Business Through Referrals class. And then, bro, right after that, I'm dipping out to Houston by myself.
To do what?
For the night.
What?
Yeah. So for the night. Oh, and then we got our podcast early that morning. But for the night, I got a lot of shit going on next Wednesday.
That's good.
But I'm dipping out of Houston. So my favorite team, Manchester City, is coming to Houston to play a friendly against Centro. I can't pronounce it right.
Say.
Centro America.
Did
I say it correctly?
Yeah, Centro America.
Yeah, bro. So that's gonna be interesting. Damn, 2 big powerhouses.
You're a soccer guy?
Oh, bro, that's where I come from. That's where my dark skin comes from, bro. Being in the sun all the time growing up.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I used to play club and travel on a travel team.
Bro, I hate that my cousin Max is a little fat, chubby Mexican, and he outruns anybody that I know.
Is he a goalie?
No. No, not to block the whole. No, bro, he doesn't get tired. He runs the whole game, and I'm like, how do you do it? I get tired with the stairs here. Crazy.
Damn.
Hey, look at this. Mary says, you definitely learned something new or catch something you may have missed at the previous class. Christine says, I will be there.
Yes. Make sure you RSVP, guys, because I want to make sure it's a free lunch from Paisanos. That shit's expensive. I want to make sure that we have enough food for everybody. So make sure you RSVP. I'll put the link for the RSVP in the thread.
And Chris Cano says, take the class agents. And listen to Chris Cano tomorrow. Give me number 3, Dom. Give me number 3. Number 3.
Yeah. Put number 3.
Right
Boom,
there. Rick Caruth tomorrow morning at 7:30 on the Chris Cano podcast.
Dope.
It's going to be good, bro.
Yes,
I'm not even in the real estate, bro, but I've noticed a lot, like with who you invite and Chris, I'm learning a lot of details. You know, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty
We're going to wrap it up. We've gone over our time. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Please do me a favor, share, like, comment, and then most importantly, guys, I'm really trying to build my YouTube channel. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas. You know, I'm looking forward to having some amazing guests coming up that I'll keep y'all posted on, but please just subscribe. Do me that favor. If y'all like this segment and y'all like the other segments that y'all tune in for, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. It takes seconds to do. But thank you for listening and tuning in. Saulo,
awesome.
Thank you, bro, for having you. We're probably going to start next week with having you back behind the camera again. Appreciate your boy, Dom. Our boy, Dom. But yes, thank you, everybody. Y'all have a good day. Go make an impact on somebody's life. Have a good one.